You spend your whole life protecting yourself, yet you let strangers decide your worth. How did the most important person in your life become the last one you trust? Humans are fascinating creatures. We love ourselves, protect ourselves, and will fight for our survival. Yet, strangely, when it comes to defining our worth, we often hand over control to other people. Why is that? The answer lies deep in our biology, in something that has been shaped over thousands of years, our ancient programming. Picture the world humans lived in 10,000 years ago. People didn't live in cities or behind screens. They lived in small tribes where everyone knew each other. Resources like food, water, and shelter were shared, and safety came from being part of the group. But there was a catch. If the group rejected you, you didn't just feel sad, you were in real danger. Without a tribe, there was no protection, no food, no future. Survival literally depended on acceptance. Because of this, our brains evolved a special alarm system. It learned to treat social rejection as an emergency. A frown, a disagreement, or being left out triggered a reaction almost identical to spotting a predator. Your heart races, your stomach tightens, and your mind starts spinning. It's your biology saying, danger, danger, pay attention. Fast forward to today. Most of us no longer live in small tribes where social rejection equals life or death. Yet, our nervous system hasn't caught up. When someone dislikes our social media post, criticizes us at work, or even ignores our messages, our brain reacts as if we are being cast out of our tribe. We feel stress, anxiety, and even physical tension, all for situations that aren't actually dangerous. This isn't weakness. It's nature. Your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do, protect you. But here's the catch. It's using an old map for a new world. The alarm system is outdated, and it doesn't know the difference between a real threat and a minor social setback. Understanding this is the first step toward freedom. If you notice how urgent approval feels, recognize it for what it is, a leftover survival mechanism. When your body reacts strongly to criticism or social rejection, it's not a moral failing. It's biology doing its job with ancient instructions. You don't need to fight your biology. You need to understand it. Accept that your nervous system is wired for survival, not for approval seeking. When you notice the panic rising, remind yourself, this is an old system. It's overprotective, but it's not accurate anymore. Awareness alone begins to loosen the grip this programming has over your life. Over time, this awareness changes how you respond. Instead of reacting automatically to every judgment, you pause. Instead of seeking constant approval, you begin to realize that your worth doesn't depend on someone else's reaction. You start to reclaim the control you've unknowingly given away. Ancient programming explains why we obsess over what others think, why a single critique can ruin our day, and why validation feels so urgent. But here's the empowering part. Once you see this, you have the ability to break free. You don't have to fight your biology. You can observe it, learn from it, and choose how to respond. This is about noticing the pattern. Your nervous system is operating on old survival code, and that code is driving many of your approval-seeking habits. The next step is learning how to identify which parts of your thoughts and beliefs are truly yours, and which are leftover instructions you inherited without questioning. When you were very young, your mind was like a sponge. You weren't analyzing the world, questioning rules, or thinking critically. You were absorbing everything around you, almost automatically. Every word, every tone, every gesture from the people around you was like data being downloaded straight into your brain. Before the age of 7, children don't have the full ability to evaluate what they're being told. The part of your brain that questions authority, that challenges beliefs, wasn't developed yet. You didn't choose what to believe, you simply accepted it. If your parents, teachers, or elders said something, your mind took it in as truth. not because it was true, but because that was how your brain worked at the time. These early years are critical. Everything you absorbed in that period became the foundation for who you are today. Your beliefs about what makes you worthy, how to behave, and what you should want were mostly inherited, handed down from people who may not have been fully aware of their influence. You learn patterns, attitudes, and judgments that shaped how you see yourself. Now, fast forward to today. Many of the doubts you have about yourself. Am I good enough? Do I deserve success? Am I lovable? Aren't original thoughts. They are echoes from your early programming. The voice in your head that criticizes you may be repeating phrases you heard before you even learned to speak. Those beliefs became your default operating system, silently guiding your actions, choices, and self-image. The problem is, most people never question these downloads. They live their whole lives acting as if these beliefs are their own. But the truth is, much of your self-doubt may have been implanted long before you had the chance to evaluate it. This explains why certain feelings of insecurity feel so automatic. They weren't consciously chosen, they were absorbed. This is why self-reflection is so powerful. When you start asking yourself, is this belief mine, or is it a hand-me-down from someone else? You begin to uncover layers of conditioning. You start separating what you genuinely think from what you were taught to think. You begin to take ownership of your mind instead of letting it run on autopilot. Another important point is that this early conditioning wasn't meant to harm you. Parents, teachers, and caregivers often acted out of care, concern, or their own survival instincts. They were passing down what they thought was right or safe. The problem is that not all of it fits the life you are living today. Some lessons were outdated, limiting, or misaligned with your personal values. Understanding that much of your internal programming is inherited gives you clarity and compassion, both for yourself and for those who influenced you. It's not about blame, it's about awareness. Awareness is the first step in rewriting the narrative that controls your thoughts, emotions, and actions. The takeaway is simple but powerful. Not everything you think is truly yours. Some of it was downloaded before you had a choice. By identifying these inherited beliefs, you can decide which ones to keep, which to question, and which to let go. This awareness creates space for genuine self-discovery and allows you to begin living according to your own standards rather than scripts written by others. Life often feels like a constant struggle to control what others think of us. We worry about our reputation, what people say behind our backs, and whether others approve of our choices. But here's the truth. Most of the things we try to control in life are not actually ours to control. This is where real freedom begins. Understanding the difference between what you can control and what you cannot. Over 2,000 years ago, a man named Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, experienced extreme hardship. He was born into slavery, had his leg intentionally broken, and possessed almost nothing. By every external measure, he had no freedom. Yet people described him as one of the freest humans they had ever known. His secret was simple. He focused only on what belonged to him. Think about it. Your reputation is not yours. People's opinions are not yours. Whether they approve of you or not is not yours. You can influence these things, but you cannot control them. Trying to control them only brings frustration, stress, and suffering. When you spend your life chasing approval or trying to manage others' perceptions, you are surrendering your freedom to circumstances beyond your power. So, what is truly yours? Your effort, your attention, your choices, your integrity. These are the things that belong only to you. You can control how hard you work, how honestly you speak, how diligently you show up in life. You cannot control outcomes or other people's judgments, and trying to do so is a trap. This distinction is liberating. Once you realize that external approval doesn't determine your worth, you can shift your focus inward. Instead of worrying about what people think, You can put energy into the things you actually have power over. Your actions, your responses, and your character become the foundation of your freedom. The challenge is that most of us have spent years giving our power away. We measure our value by likes, compliments, or recognition. We worry about criticism, rejection, and disapproval. We act as if our internal peace depends on the opinions of strangers. But it doesn't. It never did. Freedom begins when you stop trading your attention and energy for validation that isn't yours to control. Imagine living each day guided only by your own standards, your own effort, and your own principles. Imagine feeling grounded even when someone disagrees with you, judges you, or disapproves. This is the mindset of true freedom. It's not about being cold or detached. It's about being anchored in what you can control and letting go of what you cannot. Philosophy is not about memorizing ideas or quoting great thinkers. It's a practical tool, a map for life. Epictetus didn't just think about freedom, he lived it. And you can too. By focusing on what is truly yours and releasing what isn't, you reclaim your energy, your time, and your peace of mind that the world will never fully approve of you. People will judge, misunderstand, and disagree. If your happiness depends on them, you will always be at their mercy. But if your happiness depends on your own effort, your own choices, and your own integrity, no one can take it away. The first step toward freedom is noticing where you are giving your control away. The second step is choosing to keep your attention and energy for yourself. You don't need to manipulate others or force approval. You simply need to recognize that your life belongs to you and live accordingly. Most people move through life believing that their sense of self-worth comes from external approval. We want others to like us, respect us, or admire us. We wait for validation in the form of compliments, recognition, or acceptance. But the moment we rely on someone else to decide our value, we give away the most important thing, our inner freedom. When you depend on approval to feel worthy, you are living a borrowed life. Your emotions, your confidence, and your self-esteem are no longer yours. They belong to the people whose opinions you seek. Every compliment lifts you. Every criticism shakes you. You are constantly reacting to the outside world, instead of creating your own internal foundation. This borrowed sense of worth is fragile. It's conditional, temporary, and unreliable. Approval can be withdrawn at any moment. What happens when someone disagrees with you? What happens when recognition doesn't come? If your sense of self is tied to outside forces, your happiness becomes a roller coaster. You are chasing a loan of approval with compound interest. The more you take, the more dependent you become. Real self-worth is different. It comes from one source only, you. True self-worth is unconditional. It doesn't fluctuate with praise or criticism. It comes from living by your own principles, honoring your values, and acting with integrity. It's not about impressing anyone or seeking permission. It's about being honest with yourself, taking responsibility for your actions, and trusting that your life matters simply because you exist. Living this way requires courage. It means stepping out of the comparison trap, where you measure yourself against others' successes, highlight reels, or curated lives. Humans are wired to compare, but most comparisons today are distorted. Social media magnifies this problem, making you feel small when in reality you are comparing your entire life to someone else's edited moment. Awareness is the first step. Catch yourself when comparing and ask, am I measuring myself against reality or someone else's performance? Another part of reclaiming self-worth is confronting your inner critic. That critical voice in your head, the one that constantly points out your flaws or fears failure, is not your enemy. It's a protective mechanism, a bodyguard from childhood that learned early you needed to be careful. The problem is, the threat it warns you about no longer exists. By acknowledging this voice, thanking it, and calmly showing it that danger has passed, You reduce its power over your life. That self-worth also grows when you embrace vulnerability. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's honesty. Speaking up, expressing your feelings, admitting mistakes, and showing your true self are acts of courage. People who feel worthy don't hide behind perfection or mask their identity to fit in. They understand that belonging comes from being authentic, not from performing to meet others' expectations. You are not the sum of others' opinions. You are not the reflection of inherited beliefs or social approval. You are the product of your choices, your effort, and your integrity. By recognizing borrowed self-worth and letting it go, you make room to cultivate genuine confidence that comes from within. The path to self-worth begins with awareness. Notice when your emotions are controlled by others. Observe when you compare, and question which beliefs truly belong to you. Then take action. Shift your attention inward, honor your principles, and live according to your values. This is the foundation of freedom, peace, and authentic self-esteem. When you stop borrowing approval, you start living for yourself. You stop chasing validation and start creating a life defined by your own standards. That's true self-worth, stable, unconditional, and entirely yours. There comes a point when you realize that most of the pain you carry isn't coming from the world. It's coming from the thoughts you repeat inside your own mind. Thoughts shaped by old fear, old memories, and expectations that were never truly yours. You start believing these thoughts like they are facts, and little by little, you stop seeing your real worth. But you need to hear this clearly. You are not defined by your past, by your mistakes, or by what people think of you. You are defined by your ability to rise after every fall, to rebuild after every setback, and to trust yourself even when your confidence shakes. You are stronger than the stories that hurt you. Your life changes the moment you stop giving others the power to decide your value. People's opinions are temporary. They change with mood, time, and circumstances. You cannot build your life on something so unstable. The only stable foundation you have is the truth you know about yourself. Yes, your inner critic will show up. It will remind you of every doubt, every weakness, every fear. But that voice is not your enemy. It's a scared part of you that learned to protect you long ago. Listen to it, understand it, but don't obey it. You are not that fragile version of yourself anymore. You've grown. Comparison will try to steal your peace. Every scroll on social media makes you feel behind, less successful, less enough. But what you see is not the full story. You're comparing your real life to someone's edited moments. You're comparing your struggles to someone's highlight reel. That's not fair to you, and it never will be. If you truly want to grow, stop comparing and start observing. Observe your own progress. Observe your own courage. Observe the quiet ways you've survived things that once felt impossible. You don't need to be better than others. You need to be better than the version of you that gave up too easily. And yes, fear will come. Fear always comes when you're close to something important. But fear is not a sign to stop. It's a sign that you are moving towards something meaningful. You don't have to eliminate fear. You just have to walk with it, step by step, without letting it control your direction. So here is your motive and your solution. Stop abandoning yourself. Stop shrinking to make others comfortable. Stop waiting for someone to tell you that you deserve happiness. Start choosing yourself. Start listening to your own voice. Start giving yourself the respect you easily give to others. You only get one life, one chance, one story. Don't spend it trying to impress people who won't remember half of what you did. Don't live it based on fears that belong to your past. Live it based on the person you are becoming, strong, aware, and confident. Your future self is waiting for you. Not the version shaped by doubt, but the version shaped by clarity. The moment you stop asking for permission is the moment your life begins to open. So step forward, as you are, with courage, with honesty, with belief, because you are enough, and you always have been.